What's going on, everyone? So JJ Redick deserves Coach of the Year. I don't know if he'll get it because the Lakers finished as a 3 seed. Ime Udoka took the Houston Rockets, who last year were playing team, into the 2 seed. Probably gets it, but given the circumstances and the way that this season has played out, I don't think there's another coach in the league that deserves it more. Right? Don't get me wrong, there's some good coaches in this league, but JJ Redick came in with no coaching experience, right? And took 7 different iterations of the Lakers to 50 plus wins, to the number 3 seed for not even just the 3 seed, just a playoff team for the first time since the play-in was introduced. It's the first time this has happened for the Lakers since the play-in was introduced. Like, JJ Redick deserves Coach of the Year. I mean, again, think of how many iterations we had. We had him coming in and implementing new schemes and all this stuff after they fired Darvin Ham. Then you had, the version of, Anthony Davis, LeBron, and Austin Reeves, but without Anthony Davis. Then you had a version of this team without LeBron. You had a version of this team without Reeves for a couple games. You had a version of this team with Anthony Davis traded and Luka, coming back from injury. Then you had kind of the figure it out period. And the guy has just managed and gotten through all of this and is still the number 3 seed in the Western Conference. And the Western Conference is an absolute juggernaut. And the Lakers have had more changes, more craziness. I mean, the Lakers season has been wild. And Lakers are the 3 seed. Right? And we're in control pretty much all season. Were there some low points? Sure. But there are a lot of high points too. Right? But that's the 82-game season. You get the rigmarole of the season. You're going to get the ebbs and flows. It's how it goes. You're going to go on losing streaks. You're going to go on win streaks. It's part of the game. It's the nature of the game when you're playing 82 games. Right? The guy led the Lakers to the 3 seed. And on top of that, won 50-plus games his first year. The guy has been fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I want the coaching staff in general to get credit too, because we have a very good coaching staff, right? JJ Redick has a lot of great support, right? From, Scott Brooks to Nate McMillan, Lindsey Harding, Shane Jean, you go down the list, right? The coaching staff is very good on this Lakers team. And one of the things that I talked about, even in the offseason when we were putting this together, was the 2020 team, right? Yes, the 2020 team was great. And at the end of the day, it's always going to fall on the players. I don't care how good of a coach you have. I don't care how good your schemes are. If the players don't execute and show up, right, a coach can only micromanage and manage the game so much, right? Like, a coach can't account for guys missing shots or turning the ball over or doing this or doing that, right? Especially when it's like your stars or whatever, right? But you look at the 2020 team. That roster was insane. That roster was great. They were deep, they were talented, they were versatile. But that coaching staff was arguably just as good, if not better, than the actual team itself. Same thing this year. The coaching staff itself has been phenomenal. And that, I think, is one of our biggest factors for the postseason, is that this coaching staff is going to get to prepare and really just take their time to flush out a game plan for each round. And that is something that Darvin Ham just didn't do, right? Like, Darvin Ham, one of the reasons he got fired was because he didn't prep, didn't practice, didn't do some of these things. And JJ is manic about it, right? And he has just proven time and time again. One of my best aging, just takes, or Laker Domus predictions and stuff, right, has been the JJ Redick scenario. For those that were around back this past offseason, I was huge about as soon as I was talking about JJ Redick when there were murmurs he was going to interview for Charlotte. And I was like, wait a minute. If he wants to coach, he's a guy you should probably look at. He has the IQ, he has the relationship, he has the respect from the league, right? He's a guy I think you should at least consider. And then, that started to develop, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, no, JJ Redick might be a real thing. And then there was the Dan Hurley thing, which, at the time I was kind of like, okay, like I could see them going Dan Hurley. I still really like JJ Redick. I think if the Dan Hurley thing falls through and JJ Redick is our coach, I don't think that that's a bad thing, but I understood why the Lakers kind of prioritized Dan Hurley over JJ Redick. But I was a huge JJ Redick advocate because people looked at it, and again, this is all on film, right? It's all here on the channel, right? One of the big things that I talked about, and one of the advantages I thought he had, was the lack of coaching experience. He understands the game. He played the game. He was one of the better IQ guys ever, right? Like, he's a guy that understands the nuances of the game from even a coaching perspective, right? It's just, my concern was always like not the on-court stuff. It was always the things that go into coaching behind the scenes that most people aren't really privy to, right? Managing players and agents and the organization, and, guys upset, or, an agent's like, hey, my guy's not getting enough shots, or, you just kind of dealing with all the behind the scenes stuff when you go on losing streaks, when you go on win streaks and guys start getting big headed and all this stuff, like practices, like all these little things, addressing the media, all that stuff. Like, that was my only, I'm not worried about the basketball stuff. I'm worried about everything else. And he's been great. And it's why I even wanted them to go get, veteran coaches. That was what Darvin Ham did not do. Darvin Ham made the mistake of, he thought he was good. He thought he was ready. He didn't want that. Originally, the Lakers were going to choose his coaching staff. And he said, either I'm the coach or I'm not, right? Type of thing. Like, I want to choose my own staff. And he chose he chose his staff and his guys, but he didn't have that experience on the bench to help guide him, kind of give him a different perspective. So to JJ's credit, not only did he bring in a bunch of veteran coaches, like getting Scott Brooks, Nate McMillan, but he also had like an open, source policy, because he was like, I have all these great basketball minds. I have all these coaches that are known for being obsessive, right? Like, and I'm that way. Like, instead of me trying to push back and fight these guys, let's all come together and find that common, let's find, okay, let's take a little from you, a little from you, a little from you, a little, and that's the beauty. JJ Redick was a sponge, just trying to absorb everything. He wasn't married or glued to a specific idea or play style. We've seen them play all kinds of different sets and actions on the defensive side of things, the offensive side of things. We've seen this team make adjustments on the fly. We've seen this team literally abandon the game plan in 5 minutes in a regular season game, random game 55, right? Like, even things that most teams don't do. And we've seen the Lakers do and make those adjustments. Why? Because JJ isn't married to a philosophy. Guy like Darvin Ham. What was the big thing that I talked about for 2.5 years, right? Was that Darvin Ham was a guy that he only knew what he was taught. All the things that he was fired for were all the same things that Mike Budenholzer was fired for. Literally, go look up the reports on why the Milwaukee Bucks fired Mike Budenholzer. It's nearly identical to Darvin Ham, because they're one and the same. Because Darvin Ham was his understudy, right? He learned everything he knew, everything he learned from Mike Budenholzer. And you saw, right? There were times where Darvin Ham looked like a good coach. I mean, he outcoached Taylor Jenkins, outcoached Steve Kerr. Looked great because he was able to stay in his box, right? As long as he could stay in his little box of knowledge, he looked great, right? He was fine winning in-season tournaments and, getting us to the conference finals and all that stuff. As long as he could stay here, he was good, right? As soon as he got to a team in Denver where he no longer could stay here, everything fell apart because he didn't know how to get out of that and still be able to do his thing. He didn't know how to make proper adjustments or call timeouts and all these things. JJ doesn't have that problem. We've seen JJ. Like, that was my big thing. That's why I was so excited to get JJ, because it was like, he's not a guy that is going to be married to an idea. He's not a guy that's going to be like, no, we got to play this way. This is the only way we need to play. This is that. No, he's a guy we've seen again. Hey, let's go with this unit. This isn't working. Get it out. Switch it up. Let's go. Boom, 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 boom. JJ Redick has been phenomenal this year. He has been by far one of the best coaches in the entire NBA. And don't get me wrong, there are some great coaches from, Ime Udoka to, Steve Kerr, right? You have this list and pedigree of coaches that have been just very good. Eric Spoelstra, right? But JJ Redick has been in that conversation, and he's going to be in that conversation, in my opinion, for years to come. I said this when we hired him. Again, it's on video. I said that we may have just found our coach for the next 10 to 20 years. All right? We might have found our Greg Popovich, is what I said. Not in the sense of accolades and accomplishment and stuff like that, right? Because JJ has to prove that. But in the sense of one coach for an organization as long as he wants to coach. And JJ Redick is young enough. He could be our coach for 30, 40 years if he wants to. Right? It's a great thing to have because you have that stability. JJ Redick deserves coach of the year. The guy he's been considering he's a first-year head coach, he's been the best coach in the league. Right? Given the lack of experience and what he's been able to do this year, and given all of the context, all the different versions of this team, having to integrate a superstar, and not just any superstar, Luka, and managing all of that, and he's been the best coach in the league, right? He deserves coach of the year. Problem is, he's a rookie coach, so he's probably not going to get it. And Ime Udoka, turned the Houston Rockets around, but also the Houston Rockets, he was the coach of the Houston Rockets last year. I'm hoping that the Lakers bump kind of helps him, but. Anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Kind of mixed in the middle? Do you think yes, he definitely has to win Coach of the Year? Do you think no? Again, either way, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.